Hello and welcome to First Issues Now, the whenever I get it out first issues review show, and today we are looking at Brilliant Trash Number 1. Written by Tim Seeley, art by Priscilla Petrates, and colors by Marco Lesko. Sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name. I would like to state that this is actually a happy accident that I'm reviewing another Tim Seeley book while I'm writing the A Comic a Day scripts for Hack Slash. But will my love of that deal a death blow to this social piece? Not even slightly. Plot is that after a mysterious woman called Lady Lastword goes live talking about I am the we as you are me and you are he and we are all together, a part of Jerusalem gets blown to bits in a superhuman light show. And it's up to the news vlogger Capricorn Holly to that can't be her real name. I mean, it comes off totally like a net handle. Sure, it may be neat to write, but God, trying to say that out loud would be... Fine, that's her name. She's working on the Lady Lastword story for her site, I Know. It could have a less Illuminati name, but again, totally a site I could see existing, sadly. But most have already waved away the Lady Lastword story as being a standard terrorist message with some special effects, but just a hoax nonetheless. Of course, Capricorn gets to have a nice fun discussion about trashy clickbait writing with Kennedy Avis, who writes that trashy clickbait tripe. But sadly, she does have my favorite line, "When there's no more room in hell, freelancers shall roam the coffee shops." Classic. But Capricorn is adamant about Lady Lastword being more than a mere terrorist and actually showed superpowers to the world. But for being someone with ethics, she needs to be rushed to the hospital for a nosebleed and a crushing migraine while a mysterious homeless-looking individual looks on. Oh good God, this means Kennedy is our main character as we follow her to her apartment. No! There she's ambushed by Dr. Zen, who injects her with something before a dude breaks in through the door and attacks Dr. Zen, who also injects him with something before exploding into a fireball. This knocks Kennedy out the window into the front lights of an L train, but she's saved by a flying person who brings Kennedy into an alley where she meets other Inhumans. Not the TM variety, though. Oh, and throughout this whole thing, we see an organization being all evil in the shadows. And that's where we end. Okay, cards on the table. This started as the Lifespanners comic, right, Tim? I mean, it's a Tim Seeley joint about a vlogger and superpowers that actually take life expectancy down, and at least on a very basic level, I can see how the premise there affected this one. And honestly, with how excited I was for that comic to come out, even if it never did, I love this kind of for the same reason. Yes, I know I had some snark towards the blogger stuff, but that was mainly just poking fun. On a writing level, I'm oddly split. I like the basic setup of showing Lady Lastword at the very beginning, and with that neatness, but I almost wish we didn't actually see what happened and only heard about it from Capricorn's investigation, or maybe some vid clips in the background and stuff like that. I loved the framing of showing it become a trending thing on social media, but then you have 2 or 3 pages of Lady Lastword literally pulling the I am everyone and no one speech, which is a poignant message. It really comes off like you're burying the lead for the book, and I'm almost wondering if this was just a way to actually bury the lead behind the preview pages. But the reason I say that it shouldn't have been shown that way is that it doesn't actually look that spectacular for a hoax. It's wickedly mundane for someone who's trying to be a legit journalist in the era of clickbait and soapboxing to grab onto it so deeply. So if we only saw the social media fallout of it, I think it would have just added a bit of the ooh in the beginning and wanting us to know more about it. As for Kennedy, I don't like her as a character, at least in this issue. But we basically only get her talking about how she's a sellout and fish gotta eat, so why do extra effort if you're making more money making a bullshit article about something trivial? As for the ending, why did it feel like there needed to be a rush in bringing in the Inhumans? It was not exactly jarring, but pretty much until that point, this sets up more like an epic state of play kind of comic, where you'd have the drive of the series be a thriller that hints at the super elements, or keeping a normie's view of it instead of going, and here's off-brand Cannonball with the save. It just feels like it's setting up to be us versus the corporation kind of story than what it was leading up to. But that's not necessarily a problem. The writing is damn good enough to grab me and carrying me into needing to check out the next issues. If it is almost a letdown that it ends very much a supers book rather than a thrillers book, I'm invested either way. As for the art, It's not bad. I can't say that it's anything super spectacular, but it is exactly what I like. I mean, this may sound weird, but it is my favorite style in that it has the loose yet sharp line work I like. It's detailed without being busy or overly complex. There's a bit of over-detailing on some of the costuming that makes it look a little busier than usual towards the end. The colors match the settings, although I did have to defend something that another friend of mine brought up, and I'm not sure if I was right or not. There's a point in this that we see a kid use powers for the assumably evil Mr. J. No, not that Mr. J. But the kid is definitely drawn to look like he's 8 to 12 years old, going on 60. I'll stand by that's what it was supposed to be because it adds a depth to the art that didn't need to be an in-your-face kind of way and makes me like the artist even more for being able to convey without broadcasting. So I really did have a lot to say about this one, both on a good and personal direction sort of way. So where does this fall on my verdict scale? I'll be honest, thinking it over, this is a solid buy it. Buy it means that it's worth the price on the cover, and I'm tentatively saying that it's worth being on your pull list because I'm curious as to where it goes, and I think by the end of the issue, you will be too. But that's all for today. If you agree with me that this was a pretty good book, or if you felt that I should have just added a clickbait headline to get more views on it, let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, let me know what you'd like to see in the next Firsty shows, be it comic book, manga, or webcomic. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and please consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon. There's a good amount of rewards for becoming a member, and I even have my integrity at a cut rate price there. But the most important thing is to stay golden, Inklings.